Welcome to the Tom Castro Shooting Academy podcast. You have now entered the next level. What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new episode of the Tom Castro Shooting Academy Next Level podcast. So I have a special guest here. We're here obviously at the 2023 South Carolina Sectional. So I wanted to introduce you guys to Mr. Jason Clark. He is a teammate of mine on Team Da Vinci, and we both shoot brass monkey bullets. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how we work and choose our bullet sizes. So a lot of people ask me questions about the bullet size that I use, the weights, and all those type of things. So I figured Jason shoots a lot of PCC. That's the majority of the things you shoot, right? So I figured we'd talk a little bit about how what I shoot for PCC, he shoots for PCC, and pistol loads, because we both shoot a little pistol, but well, I shoot more pistol, I guess. But I talk a little bit about why I choose what I choose, and obviously we both shoot the same exact brand, so it really works easy for us on why we choose it. So what usually do you shoot in your PCC?
Yeah, so my PCC, I primarily shoot light bullets. So for brass monkey bullets, I shoot the 115 round nose. For me, with a PCC, it's all about the dot movement. You want to have a repeatable dot movement, whatever's comfortable with your shooting style. Like, if you're the guy that if you like to rip 10 splits, the lighter bullets generally cycle the action a little bit faster, right? And I'm one of those guys. I got one of those trigger fingers. So 10, 11 splits are no big deal here, and that's just what I like. Yeah.
Nice.
So powder selection obviously comes into that as well, right? If you're, whatever powder you're loading is going to give you that different push versus the snap, and it all comes down to that personal preference. There's, I would say 125s are probably the most popular.
Yeah, for sure.
Even for the PCC out there, and I think a lot of handgun guys do it. Maybe it's because they can just load one bullet profile for everything. For me, I don't know. I like to do different profiles for different guns, so I don't mix up the ammo and all that stuff. So I use the 127 conical for my handgun loads, and I do the 115 round nose for my PCC. Actually, both with the same powder charge. So again, it's kind of a little bit of laziness there, where it just works out that the powder charge I selected for my handgun, when I changed the bullet weight from 127 to 125, gives me the exact power factor range that I'm looking for. Yeah,
that's not usual. That's not normal.
Right. So when you found that happy medium, you just don't change anything, right? So I don't have to make any adjustments on my press. I don't have to change overall length. I don't have to change powder. I just literally change what bullet I'm dumping in the bullet feeder.
That's it. That's pretty lucky.
Yeah.
No, I don't get that.
It's taken years to get there, and I don't think it would have. Brass Monkey has that I won't say unusual weight, but it's like a little heavier. Most people are 125, but that 127, just that extra difference of weight between 127 and 115 was enough to put the power factors exactly where I want it. So both guns are right at 134, 135 power factor. Which is
so because for my PCC, I shoot 125 personally. I like the 125. But I started with 125, and I dialed in my load for it, and I've been shooting the same gun for 4 years. So I started off with I still have all my prototype stuff still on it. I was looking at it the other day. I still have the laser printed. It's not engraved. It's not it's not painted. And I have all the stuff that still came from the original one. And I've been shooting 125 forever. The biggest thing for me was once I changed over to the finding the powder, just like you said, right? But then once I got the powder cleaned up and I was able to get that load, it's the overall length, and everything is all the same thing for me. 1125 is what all my pistol runs. So that was the big thing for me. I still have to change because I shoot a 125 for PCC, but I shoot a 147 for my pistol.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I switched to the 147s, because I was always a 125 guy, and yes, that was very nice to just basically dial the powder up and down, was I realized that my dot with the pistol I was guessing a lot. Not that I wasn't seeing it, but I wasn't able to get it, I couldn't get a clean picture. So when I switched to the 147s, I noticed the dot was calmer. It wasn't that the gun was slower, it's just that the gun was less violent.
The recoil impulse is what it's all about.
And that's what I felt the most. It wasn't that I wasn't getting good hits, it was just that dot is really shaky versus just a little bump. And that's where I changed my
It's all about the timing. When you're shooting a low confirmation on a target, knowing and having the confidence that your dot's coming right back at the timing that you're comfortable with is what it's all about.
So we talked a little bit yesterday. I was kind of laughing at you because you said one of the reasons you picked the 115 was so that you didn't get reshoots.
Aside from giving the proper recoil impulse, a 115 is almost always in any barrel length is going to be supersonic. So you're not getting the subsonic rounds like the guys shooting 147s. They're 800 feet per second in a PCC. Those guns are just super quiet, and the timer has to be right on the ejection port to get those. So with me, the 115s, it's always supersonic. My gun's one of the louder ones out there, just to make it easy on the ROs, which in turn makes it easy on me because I'm not having to go out and reshoot a stage and mentally prepare.
I might have to look at that because after I shot PCC again this year, we were in the Pan American Games. loud gun over there. We were in the Pan American Games, and yeah, lots of reshoots. So that was a little frustrating because the guys don't get up on top of the gun. So I'm gonna have to look at that just because I'm tired of doing reshoots.
So at least it's worth playing with to see if the dot movement is where.
That was the one thing that I've never really done. Once I found the load, I just kind of stuck with it and never really changed it. So the only time I really experimented is when I switched over to the carry optics and I needed to learn what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I shot 125s for a long time, and then I was like, oh, let's do a little experimenting in the off season. I just never. I mean, I don't know. I just always liked the way my PCC shot.
I love 147s, but I also shoot mixed brass. I don't sort it, and every once in a while you'll get brass that just has different wall thicknesses and things like that, and you'll get ones that don't case gauge well and things like that. So like that longer bullet profile 147s, while it shoots great, you do have to be a little more careful with your brass.
Yeah. So Craig actually has been doing some prototyping with one of the Da Vinci's, and actually the best thing about the prototyping is he's been doing weight changes on his bullets.
Yep.
And he actually been shooting some 147s, which I'm like, dude, that's got to be slow.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not about the shooting speed. It was actually about how fast you could get back to the next shot and see it.
Yeah.
So he's really enjoying the 147s lately.
Yeah.
That's when I brought you on, because I was like, that's 3 different versions of bullets going out of the same gun, and it's like, they're all good. It's just what you like. A lot of it's personal choice.
You're talking milliseconds of cycle time
100%.
difference, but it's all about what your eye is seeing with the dot movement.
Yeah.
And if it's doing what you want it with whatever bullet weight, then you're good to go. So 115 is not the only way, it's my way.
Yeah, that's kind of where it is. Like, that's one of the reasons I get a lot of questions about this. That's why I wanted to bring you on, because people ask, like, oh, why do you shoot a 120? I love 125s. And again, it's just about what you feel. Like, it's not even, and the visual, see, to me, the big thing difference is the weight is the visual, like what I could see. So I know a lot of guys use the 125s or the 115s in the PCC, and every time I went to a lighter bullet, I just hated it. It was just like, I felt like the thing was just, and I was just like, well, I'm going to go see the 125s. I've never gone heavier, though. I might try a 147 and see what it feels like.
And the buffer has a lot to do with it as well, right? Buffer selection, it's all intricate puzzle, right? Bullet weight, the type of powder you're using with the burn rate, combined with the buffer system is what's going to give you that recon.
How long did it take you to find your bullet weight of choice? How many times did you change weights just to see what you liked?
I started, so this is going back years. I started with 147s when I was shooting primarily handguns. I went to 135s when I first started shooting PCC. This was with a different brand. Yeah. But I've been on a 115 train for at least 3 or 4 years now. Yeah. So it didn't take me long. My very first PCC back in like 2017 or 2018, whenever it came really started growing. I was shooting a heavier bullet there, and it was okay. But once I went 115s, there was no looking back, no second guessing.
So there you go, guys. It's pretty much it's personal choice. There's really no pluses or minuses depending on what you like. There's no like, hey, 147s are the answer or 115s are the answer. It's all about what your gun setup is, how you set it up, the kind of powder you use. So enjoy the puzzle, because that's what it's all about. Again, if you like tinkering with your gun, this is a great sport. If you don't like tinkering with your gun, pick something, stick with it, get used to it, and you'd be surprised how you don't really need to change a whole lot. Just get used to it. And actually, that was my big thing, is once I shot it for a little while, I was like, okay, I never try something, shoot it 500-600 rounds and then quit. I'm a 2,000-3,000 round guy. Feel it, understand it, see if it's me that's the problem or it's the round that's the problem, and that's kind of how I figure out my bullets. So you have to test it. You have to experiment a little bit. I use my off season for that. If I ever have one.
They get shorter and shorter every year.
They sure do, especially living in Florida. You live in Georgia, so you guys don't have much of an off season.
We got 11 months of good shooting time.
So really that off season isn't much. So just try to use those locals, I guess, as your practice sessions there instead of trying to make them your majors. But thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man, for sure.
So if you guys get a chance, check out Brass Monkey Bullets. Obviously, the Da Vinci. We both love the Da Vinci. So check them out when you get a chance. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in those comments, and I'll see you on the range.